So I have about 45 slides to get through, so I think I'll just jump right into it. Just a little bit of context. If you teach a class online, or if you take a class online, you probably use an LMS. You probably use Moodle, Blackboard, Sakai, and there's a bunch more, but those are the major ones. And the problem is that they don't have a reasonable way of reporting back to the institution or the instructor what is actually going on in the class. Their analytics or reporting is not very good. And I'll show you an example of this here. This one is from Moodle. Blackboard and Sakai aren't much better. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Moodle. I actually work a lot with them. But you know, what we see here is essentially the reporting you get from a course within Moodle. And you know, this isn't really very useful. It's quite one-dimensional, and we're not describing any pedagogical processes that go on. So my solution to this is a software package and a methodology that I'm developing called Xray Analytics, which extracts the data from essentially any LMS systems, and it analyzes it using different approaches than, let's say, the classic reporting. This is the course dashboard. It's one of the interfaces in the system. This is sort of my take on what you saw from the Moodle screens. This is still what I call clickometry. We're still just counting clicks here, and you can add some more dimensions to that. The more important and more interesting parts here to me are the social network analysis and the linguistic analysis. And you know, the sort of easy way to do a linguistic analysis of what's going on in the course is just to create a word cloud. It has a lot more advanced features than that, and there's a lot more going on in the background. So an activity report, this is sort of also clickometry, but we do a little little extra stuff here. We do predictions for what the activity is going to look like in 2 weeks out usually. We also calculate entropy, which is a measure of regularity. So you can tell if students are logging in regularly or participating regularly, and you can use that measure even for some of the linguistic data that we do collect and that is available. So this is a detail for this. We do this on an individual participant level. So the individual student has their own set of predictions. And there's a couple of other things we do. We figure out when do they usually log in, what time. Somewhat interesting, more interesting here is we find out who they are collaborating with, who are they working with, what is their observed learning network within the system. And this slide is in here just to show that a lot of the stuff that I do, everything I do is based on research. A lot of it is based on research that I didn't do. And when I do that, I actually provide the references right within the tool. Here's an example of a discussion activity analysis. We see the word cloud has the central tendency of what is going on in the communication in the course. And here's some of the more advanced quantitative linguistic stuff that we do as well. I guess I would say this is for extra credit down here. I find it very interesting. And there's a lot of stuff that comes out of quantitative linguistics and social network analysis that you can apply to LMS data and do these kinds of analyses. For example, you can break down, simple enough, you break down the word cloud between the participants in the course, and it's really easy. And I love this interface too, because it's a cover flow. It doesn't move because this is a PowerPoint slide, but it's a cover flow, so you can go back and forth and look at the individual students, and then you can really easily see actually who is on topic and who's not on topic. If you are discussing and this happens to be a course about cartooning, and this Jacqueline is apparently in love with Carrie, so they're not really on topic there. A little bit about the methodology that I use. Why is it important to use quantitative linguistics and social network analysis and not just count clicks? Well, the reason is that 85% of the data available in the LMS is actually linguistic data. And the graph on the right here shows that that relationship is actually stable whether it's a large course or a short course. It's a pretty stable ratio. So just for that reason, you should analyze most of the data. You shouldn't throw most of the data out and analyze what is left. So let me talk very briefly about social network analysis. It has to do with how people are connected, and it turns out that you can extract that social structure from the LMS data. This was done by two researchers. One is Canadian, one is Australian. There is a measure called closeness that you can extract from this, and it turns out to be a stable predictor of persistence in the course. So in this particular case, our friend Brent, that we actually saw on the course dashboard, dropped out of the expected range 13 days before he actually dropped out and stopped logging in altogether. And we could have flagged that. We could have known that ahead of time and made an intervention. Social network analysis becomes very interesting when you mix it with quantitative linguistics. Here's a sociogram of the course. It tells you who is connected to whom, what is the learning network within the course, and then you can layer communication data on top of that. In this case, I've added a number of posts. There's another measure in quantitative linguistics called type token ratio, which is essentially a measure for how much new stuff comes in to the conversation. And by the way, the direction of the communication is sort of bulging on the right, sort of you drive on the right, so that's how the communication goes. We also developed a critical thinking coefficient based on the methodology that is published, and we made an artificial intelligence to reproduce that. And when you map that in the social network, you can actually see where the knowledge is being created within the course. And in this case, it's being created around Kevin. But you can see, because of the direction here, that he inspires critical thinking more than he does it himself, which is good. He's the instructor. So he's doing a very good job at inspiring critical thinking from his students. And that's why the course is revolving, the critical thinking is revolving around him and the creation of knowledge. And this is actually one of the diagrams you have inside the tool available for the analysis. So I'm going to go through these slides now really quickly. These are other interfaces from the tool. This is learning network across a series of courses, and we see that Anna here has a learning network that we have observed, and then we project a learning network for her. Having this kind of information available is interesting and useful. For example, if you need to group Anna for the next semester, it might be a good idea to group her with someone that you know she will be working well with, or can predict that. If you want to see a previous version of any report that's available, I like this interface too. It's based on the time machine in Mac. So this is a heat map of activity. Here we see what time people work in the course. Upcoming for this year, and this is in progress, are the points that you see on the screen right now. The most important one for me is how to analyze exogenic data. That's the most challenging one. And this is my goal. You can read it because I only have 30 seconds left. The next steps for me are further research, and I need a sustainable business model. I have one client signed this month, which is good. But the most important part for me is to be able to continue the research on this project. Thank you.